Here on Season 2, Episode 1 of Philly Comedy Club presents the RUS GUTIN Experience. I'm so excited to have another edition of Album of the Week, where I feature my favorite comedians and friends who have amazing albums for you to stream and buy right now while you're in the quarn. So this week is no exception. This is my baby boy, as I say, and you guys are going to absolutely love it. I'm going to play some material that is featured on his amazing new EP called At the Comic Strip Live, which is available to stream on Spotify and to buy on iTunes right now. So please enjoy some material from my great friend and baby boy, and then he's going to join us for a little interview, Mr. REG. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up!
You see these gentlemen on MTV. Show some love to REG THOMAS, everybody. REG THOMAS, let's go. Come on, crowd, come on. Give up for James. How you guys feeling? You guys look fucking nice. Is that true? Is this like a crowd full of New Yorkers? Is this true?
Yeah.
The fuck I'm talking about, man. I'm from Brooklyn, man. I fucking love New York. I love New York women. Because New York women are sassy. A New York girl will shut you down before you even try to get her number. You see her walking down the block, you like, excuse me, miss, can I talk to you for a second? Time's up. I'm really from New York, yo. I'm so New York. Y'all wanna know how New York I am? I'm so New York, I once slept with an Orthodox Jewish girl. Who's the chosen one now? I remember one time I was dating this chick from New York. She had way more street cred than I did. I've never experienced that. One night these guys tried to rob me, and they recognized me as being her boyfriend. The first dude ran up on me, he pulled out a gun. He's like, give me everything in your pockets right now. I was like, damn, this nigga really want my $5. I'm ready to give him my money, and his partner recognized me. He goes, yo, chill, man, you don't realize who that is? Yo, that's Erica's hubby. The guy was just like, yo, ain't you Erica's boyfriend? I'm such a punk. I was like, that's right, get the fuck off me. Before I called my girl. I didn't even tell my girl what happened. I just went back to her apartment, had sex, and when it was all over, I was like, I feel so safe in your arms, babe. You are babe. I'm born and raised in this city. This ain't the same city I grew up in, though, man. Like, Brooklyn ain't the same. Like, I remember when I was younger, I couldn't even get my friends to come to Brooklyn. They'd be like, I don't want to go to Brooklyn. I'm scared I might get robbed. And that's because you might. But, like, that's old Brooklyn. Not new Brooklyn. We're gentrified now. Gentrified is the shit. It means we have a surplus of white people. Surplus means too many. And I just don't know where all these white people came from. I think you're in Ohio. I'm like, we gotta do something about Ohio. They seem to be having a leak. This is the one thing I've learned from all this gentrification though, like when white people learn new stuff, they like to share it. So I'll go to the same Jamaican restaurant that I've always gone to, and a white guy come up to me like, hey man, have you had this jerk chicken? I'm just there like, are you recommending my own shit to me? I don't think this is gonna work, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my very good friend and my baby boy, Mr. Reg Thomas, ladies and gentlemen. Reg, holy shit, God, it was just so great to watch those bits because it's just, I love your material. I love seeing you and the new world. I don't get to see you every few weeks like we were doing for the last few years, you know?
Right.
So it just, your material brings me such joy. So like I said, before we played that awesome clip, your new EP at the Comic Strip Live, which obviously was recorded at the Comic Strip Live, is now available to stream on Spotify or all your streaming services, or to buy on iTunes right now. So my first question for you tonight, Reg, is in terms of material that's featured on at the Comic Strip Live, my question for you is, what is the oldest and what is the newest bit on the album? It's something I always like to ask my comic friends so the audience at home could see how long we sort of work on these things for.
So on that, probably the oldest bit on that album might be like I have a bit where I talk about dating a girl, and she had more street cred than I did.
Yeah.
And like one night the guy tried to rob me, and like, you know, like, yo.
Yeah, no, it's the best.
So that one right there might be like, so like, and like it goes like that, right? So like some of your oldest jokes are usually the ones that are like the more polished ones. So like that one's one of the older one jokes. And then like probably in that set, probably one of the newer jokes is the whole New York girls that shut you down in a heartbeat type of.
Oh, okay, yeah, because the time's up. Okay, because I was curious about that. I was curious if that was like an earlier punchline
That was a newer joke at that point.
No, but that's amazing. See, that's what I love people to learn about this, because I've talked to people on this show where like they're like, yeah, I wrote that like 2 weeks before, but the other thing was like 6 years old. So that's what's so amazing about the beautiful art.
The way I like to go about doing stand-up is like, for whatever reason, I always do like, I'll get like my first opener jokes to get the crowd in there. And then for whatever reason, I like whatever my new jokes are, those are the jokes that have been on my head the most. So I'll do those up top in the set. And if it goes bad or not, if they don't like it or whatever, I know I'm gonna just do the older jokes that'll win them over by the end.
Right. You know what Jerry Seinfeld says? He says even for him, he says like the beginning, that's for them. The end, I know I'm going to have this, but the middle, that's for me. That's what he said. He goes, that's for me. That's where I do what I'm going to do. That's where I do what I love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, speaking of that, Reg, you and I have known each other for quite some time now. And
you're the first person to ever take me on the road.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And one of the things that has always drawn me to your work and you as a person is just really your presence on stage, and by that I mean your ease of presence. You have such an ease at being
very relaxed up there.
You're very like me. I'm just like blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and you're just so good at being yourself up there. And what I've noticed as somebody who is standing off stage watching you is just instantaneously, I feel like the audience feels like they know you and they're hanging out with you. And there's just like an instant like kinship and friendship. And it's not something that every comic can really pull off, because what I've noticed is that off stage, you are also just as cool and as comfortable in your own skin and as affable. So that's what I love about you. I love that for the audience and for me, what you see is what you get. You're authentic. Right. And we know in our business that is not always one and the same thing. So my question for you is, was that something that you always had, or is that something that you developed over time?
That was something I developed over time. Because for sure, like the confidence and just the ease on stage, that probably just came in all honesty, like with just like all the bad things that have probably like, and bad things happen to everyone. Like, you know, like this isn't a sob story. Right. Like we all have bad things that happen to us, and like, you know, we all have our own trials and tribulations. So like just thinking about the things I've been through and just like the awkward moments I've had to live through, like just standing there in front of an audience is like I could get through this. Like
right, exactly. It's like, so scary.
So me being approachable or me being like, you know, like open to them, or like me not necessarily having a wall up when I'm talking to the audience. That's just really for me, just being like, yo, I've been through worse than what, like. And on top of that, bombing helps. Like once you've bombed enough.
But, bombing helps. Hashtag bombing helps.
Like, you know, like I remember I used to do comedy shows before I got the overview. I used to do comedy shows where it was like you have like the audience is just full of just old gang members that you thought died. That's like you thought this person died, but they're here looking for some chuckles. Right. And the pressure's on, you know? So it's like, my ease, it really comes from just like really being through some, like I've just been through bad situations. I'm just like, you know what? Like I could just, I'm not, you know, I'm just not scared of it. I'm just not scared of the moment.
No, you know what, Reg? I think that's one of the reasons, you know, you saying that to me now is very revealing, because you and I have had a lot of experiences together, but I haven't heard you say quite that before. And I think one of the reasons that you and I get along so well is that we have this sort of excitement and gratitude and sort of like happy to be here vibe. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like I've dealt with so many people who are difficult. It's like, yo, we're getting paid to talk about our junk. Like, like that is a really good job. Like I've had awful jobs. This is the best job. Like,
right. Well, I mean, with me and you in particular, like I just always realized that your enthusiasm for comedy and life was just authentic. So it was never, it never really costing me anything to reciprocate that energy back, because I was like, cause that's just how you shake. Like that's just how I met you. Like your energy was always authentic. So it was just like, and it was
that's a really nice thing to say to somebody. Jesus Christ, I'm in the quarantine. I'm gonna get all emotional. That's very nice. Well, I do. I love it. And I love your stand-up. And this brings me to my next subject. Now, Reg, one of the coolest things about you is that over the last few years, you have had one of the coolest sort of underground, sort of hip comedy shows. Yeah. Both in New York and LA. With another awesome comic who I'm lucky enough to know and have done a bunch of shows with, named Jordan Rock. Called Productively Stoned, which is, I love that because I feel like the human embodiment.
That's what it says.
I have 2 kids. I'm the most productively stoned. I'm productive. You know what I mean? He's so productive. So I love the show.
I love that your wife is in the other room.
Oh yeah, they're upstairs. I have a basement I live in. I'm like Sloth in the Goonies. They keep me.
They're both upstairs.
Yeah. So I live downstairs. And so what I was gonna ask you is sort of an origin story question. How did you and Jordan meet up in the first place, and how did the show Productively Stoned get started?
So me and Jordan had mutual friends in comedy. We used to always hang out at a comedy show called Fat Baby, and that was very early on. That was very early on when I first started doing comedy.
I'm honorary Fat Baby. Did you know that? I'm an honourary Fat Baby.
Yeah, I know you are. I do. We both are. And so
it's a proud. It's like a badge. Like a
friend in comedy. Julio Gallerati was my first friend in comedy. He's the one that brought me to Fat Baby.
Really?
Yeah. And so like, you know how white comedy is. So like,
yes. Oh, very much.
Jordan was like, "Is that another black dude telling jokes?" And like,
we only had these guys, you know.
We dressed the same. We both from Brooklyn. We both like light skinned girls with curly hair. It was a lot.
Oh, yeah, that's for real. Yo, that's real shit.
So we just became just real mutual. We just became like, we just started a friendship really from that, and then from that, he started a monthly comedy show at Karma Lounge, which was like one of the last places in New York City where you could smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, no, I've done shows there with you, and also with a guest later this season. Naomi and Andy used to run a show there that I've done as well.
And so Jordan came up with the words "Productively Stoned," and then like once his acting career picked up, I really just took the flag, and I've just been going hard with it, with the brand.
No, it's wonderful, and it's so funny that you mentioned that, because one little anecdote and then another sub question for you is that a few years ago when we first met up, you know, because Papa Russ, you know, loves being productively stoned. You were like, yo, Russ, you got to come down, you know, come through. And I was like, this is so cool. I'm so excited. You asked me to be on the show. And I was so excited to be there. And then I got there and I looked at the crowd and they were so young and hip and good looking and sort of like modern dress and everything. And I immediately.
From the Productively Stoned.
What?
A lot of hot chicks from the Productively
Yeah,
Stoned.
oh, it was so many chicks, and I immediately felt like the corny chaperone at a junior high school dance, or the white substitute in Harlem, but not in a Michelle Pfeiffer way. Like, I'm gonna get beat up while I go get my
Right.
So, you know, like I was like, so one of these things is not like the other. One of these Russes doesn't belong, and but I had such a blast with you and Jordan that night because I knew Jordan a little bit. But I have noticed during the pandemic that you guys have done some online shows like we're doing now. You've done some live socially distant shows. So I was just curious where people can catch what Productively Stoned is up to at the moment.
So right now, Productively Stoned, like Russ gave a great introduction to, we've been producing it for 5 years. We do pop-up shows all around the country. We've done it in DC, Denver, LA. And basically what it is it's a stand-up comedy show, but we have a 20-minute smoke session with the audience. It's BYOW, bring your own room. We smoke with you for 20 minutes, and then usually we take you to another room where we have the comedy show. So you're high at a comedy show, you're not at a comedy show.
Oh no, it was the best. I was confused too.
It was a lot of trial and error. I had to learn, like, okay, you let them smoke and then you stop it and then the show.
Right.
If you let them smoke throughout the show, they fall asleep and pass out. So
yeah, no, I experienced that in LA. I was like, these people are not listening to me.
And then boom. And so since March, throughout the whole quarantine, we were doing a weekly Zoom show for Productively Stoned. And now with New York being back open, like being semi kind of open, I've been doing outdoor live shows where I have a venue out in Bushwick. It's 16 tables and a nice patio, so you're not in the street.
Wonderful. I saw you had a bunch of high school friends show up too on your Instagram.
Yeah. Cause like I don't know if you guys have had that experience of eating outside on the street. Have you guys done this, the outside dining?
No, well, we've only done. My wife has actually done a little bit more of it in like the parking lots and stuff. I went to a restaurant for the first time since March, a few weeks ago.
Patty, you been eating outside? You ate outside?
I did just the other night. Yeah.
Did you like the experience of eating outside?
I love eating outside. I love eating al fresco, as we Italians call it. And,
I think you're lying, Patty. It's a terrible experience. They're putting us in the street to have. You're like
I wasn't in the street. I was on the patio.
No. Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
the patio. Okay, thank you. Meet me halfway.
I never. You know what? I never.
Patio, Patty. I'm with you.
Patio, patty.
I never liked eating outside in the city. I never understood that.
In New York, it's a terrible experience.
It's disgusting.
You're eating in the bike lane. You're eating in traffic. Cars coming at you.
You're basically drinking in exhaust while you're eating.
Yeah.
It's never been pleasant. I've always hated
Taste
it.
the food. I mean, it's impossible.
It's just very pretentious.
It's the worst.
It's like we're eating in the street. We're trying to act like the bus just didn't drive by brunch. It's like, come on. we're in traffic. Like this is usually the bike lane.
Yeah, and then you're trying to do comedy on top of that, which we know, Reg, that if comedy's not in the right environment, considering where the old Philly venue was, or
all these outdoor shows are a step above dancing on the train.
No.
Right? Every time I tell jokes outside, I'm like, I should have got my master's. I should have never gave up.
Yeah, no, I should have learned to twirl on the poles at the subway.
I should have been an accountant who works too much with a wife who cheats. I'd have been so much happier. Here I am chasing dreams.
Listen, it's important.
And like society is even worse because here we are trying to do shit outside while homeless people are 5 feet away from us. Like,
yeah, no, that's not right.
He's sleeping butt naked, and I'm trying to tell jokes. We're so trash.
It's about the craft, Reg. It's about the craft.
We're all so trash.
Now, I'm really excited for this part of your segment. And again, I can't thank you enough, Reg, for joining me here tonight. But for the last question I have for you tonight, and it's story time, Reg, okay? Because you and I have done a metric ton of shows together over the last few years, okay? And like you said earlier, you have always graciously told me that I was the first headliner that you had opened for on the road. Now, I have always enjoyed that story because that was the first time that I was ever truly headlining on the road without renting out the club myself, you know, it was through a record label and through somebody else. And so it was so neat that, like, it was neat to you, but it was neat to me. So I feel like it has always sort of, you know, connected us in a sort of way. And it was such a magical night, and that crowd really was great. But then, since then, you and I have worked so many shows together in Connecticut, where that show was, and then New York, and then Philly, but then a lot of shows. Atlantic City, that's right. And the last show that you and I did together was a week before the pandemic hit. If I'm not mistaken, it's my last appearance in front of human beings, okay? And in the current political climate, audience at home and Reg, you have heard a lot of stories about audience members attacking the comedian on stage, okay, and incidents happening. But the last time Reg and I were together, in 21 years of comedy, Reg, it was the first time that I had ever seen two tables in the audience attack each other.
Right.
And it was right before
a fight broke out of my headlining show.
Right, and that was what was so interesting, is that I was hosting, you were headlining, it was right before you were about to go on. So my question to you is, Reg, what is your recollection of events that night? And I will chime in where it needs be, but I've got to know what your experience and your point of view that night was.
So I was, you know, you brought me on stage. You did a great job hosting up top. You brought me on stage. I might have been on for about 15 minutes. It was give and go, but it was going good. It was smooth, you know. I was in my rhythm. But like the right side of the room, the whole time, the right side of the room, there's like chatter. Right. But the whole rest of the room is into the show. So I'm like, you know what? This is whatever. I could ride with this. And
I always play to the people who are listening. You know what I mean? So
all I hear from the right side of the room goes, "Are you fucking serious?"
Right. Are you
and then like, "You won't shut the fuck up." And I'm like, what is happening? We all looked to the right side of the room, and apparently there was two couples showed up, and one of them was shit-faced drunk, and the wife would not stop talking throughout my set.
The whole thing, dude.
There was a third couple who was sitting in front of him, and like the wife was just tired of the other wife talking. So she turned around and threw her drink in the lady's face.
Boom!
Oh. Yeah. So now the wives are going back and forth. This is what's crazy. The wives are so thugged out. Mind you, this is all white people. The wives
all white people. Yeah, no. We forgot. I was waiting for you. I wanted you to say it.
It feels black. The story up top feels very black, is very white. And so
I needed you to say it. Yeah, it's only white people that ever do this, by the way.
So, but this is what's the best part. The women are so gangster about going at each other. The husbands are like deers in headlights. They had no idea. They're like, wait, so do we start fighting? Like,
yeah.
The husbands don't even know what to do with themselves. They're like, I came here to listen to jokes. They're like, me too. I don't know. Like, why?
Yeah, it's like $30 a ticket, you know.
So now, we're trying to get, you know, like security is Russ. Security is Russ and the bartender.
Yeah.
They're trying to wrangle this
security is Russ and the bartender. Because you saw the security guards at the Clarence, right? They're like the ghosts
Yeah.
security guards from Night at the Museum.
Right. They couldn't catch Patty. Like Patty, all of them. So here we are. We got Russ and the bartender rounding them up. So Russ and the bartender, they're very decent. They kick out the couple that was talking. They don't kick out the girl that threw the drink, and they don't kick out other couple. Because you remember it was two couples that came together, but only one of them was being rowdy.
Yeah, no, the table closest to the stage, they had been enjoying the show, and they were the ones
They were,
that I did
but
the
they were,
birthday
but they
rap
were
for.
with they were with the rowdy couple that got the drink thrown on.
Yeah.
So they get kicked out. So I'm still telling jokes on stage. All you hear is Russ and the couple arguing backstage in the Clarendon. And like, Russ is like one of the sweetest people I've ever known. Russ is one of the sweetest guys I know. All you hear from the back of the room, get the fuck back! I said, get back! Get the fuck back! I was like, what is happening in the back right now?
Oh my God.
Like I said, Reg,
I'm trying to tell jokes, but me and the audience could care less about what I gotta say. We just want to know what's going on with us.
Yeah.
Get the fuck back! Get out of here!
Because they're coming at Amy Lynn. They're coming at they're coming at my bar manager. It was about to be Cobra Kai up in that motherfucker.
So now I'm still telling jokes. So now we're probably at like 20 minutes.
Oh my God.
And you got to do 40.
I'm just trying to tell jokes about what just happened. Russ comes back, and Russ is like, you know what? We don't even got to finish the show. I'm like, you know what?
I remember telling the audience, here's something I remember. Alex Quo was there too. He's a great young comic. He's got great stuff about having braces too. That's great stuff. And I remember saying to the audience, you know what? I didn't tell you guys, but we're having an audience fight club tonight. We're going to line you up, shortest to tallest. And I pointed to the oldest guy in the audience. I was like, I'm going to fuck you up, Rip Van Winkle. I'm going to light you up, motherfucker.
So to hear Russ scream at the top of his lungs like that was something, it was memorable, very memorable.
Wow, Reg, you have absolutely delivered, because I absolutely appreciate that, because I only remember certain parts of it because it was so infuriating, because as a Jew, everyone else there paid for a ticket and they probably had to sign up for the app and give their email. It's such a travesty. So I can't thank you enough for saying that. I really am in this business known for being a sweet person, but unfortunately, over the last few years, I have also become security at some of these events.
Right.
So, but I can't thank you enough for joining us tonight. And like I said, our guest here on Album of the Week on Season 2, Episode 1 of Philly Comedy Club Presents The RUS GUTIN Experience has been the star of the new EP available for streaming on Spotify and buying on iTunes at the Comic Strip Live, my baby boy, Mr. Reg Thomas, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up. And like I always say at the end of our gigs, Reg, I am so glad that me and Sean Penn were in Haiti that day in that rowboat, and
you know
we
what?
brought you here to America.
He was going to ruin it.
It's my specialty, Reg.